Hey, Dustin Hockensmith back here with Greg Pickel for PennLive.com, taking a quick look at an overview of Penn State recruiting efforts in going into the middle of May, going into maybe the dog days of recruiting sometimes. Penn State might not have a commitment quite within reach, but there's some good things bubbling below the surface here.
No question. I mean, you look at how Penn State is going to move on from the biggest news of late, which was Micah Parsons' decommitment just a day or two after Antoine Weed and Nana Asidu joined the class. And you know, you get to this point of the year where momentum's not a huge deal, but at the same time, you like to feel good about your class all year long and at every various point, whether it's during the evaluation period, whether it's during the summer, whether it's during the season, whether it's during junior days in the winter. I think Penn State does feel that way right now, though, as the #2 class in the country as we tape this in mid-May. But what it comes down to me is that you look at two guys, P.J. Mustipher, the 4-star defensive tackle out of Owing Mills, Maryland, and Jahan Dotson, former PA native. He's a 4-star wide receiver now at the Petty School. Both those guys suggested they might be getting close to wrapping up their recruitment. Maybe not by the end of May, but it certainly seems like by mid-June, or at the very least by the time the June dead period comes, the last week of June, and that stretches into the middle of July, that those two guys should be wrapping things up. And Dustin, it looks pretty good for Penn State for both of those guys right now.
Including both of those guys, here's what I would say about Penn State's recruiting class. No matter what happened with Micah Parsons or Chris Bleich decommitting, I think there's a really clear path of like upward mobility to keep adding 4-star talent to this class. Dorian Hardy is another name. Jahan Dotson was an interesting name to resurface after he came back for the blue-white game. He's from Nazareth originally. He's listed at like 5'11", 175 pounds. But to me, his film showed that he plays bigger than that. And Penn State would be, to come out of the 2018 class with Justin Shorter, Jahan Dotson, maybe Shaquan Anderson-Butts, we'll see. But this is a really good year for wide receiver talent. And I think what Penn State's going to need, they're going to need this infusion of high-end talent there. Yeah,
and you think about Solomon Ennis out in Phoenix, Arizona, Curtis Ennis, his son. There's a couple other guys that are on the board. It's a great year to get wide receivers, you're right. And it's a good time to restock there, too. Penn State hasn't necessarily gone crazy with recruiting that position, and why would they, based on what they have on the depth chart? But every program gets to a point where they have to reload at the position, and Penn State is not only at that time, but they're also in the right cycle to do it, because there's so much good talent out there, and they already got a great one with Shorter.
Yeah, they're on the board. I think to go into May, you should approach it with optimism going into the summertime. That's Greg Pickel. I'm Dustin Hockensmith, talking Penn State recruiting for Penn Live.